When we talk about addiction, we need to define addiction. And for me, that means looking at the entire spectrum of addiction. Now, when we look at addiction as a spectrum, there are basically three levels. There is to use drugs recreationally, there is to abuse drugs, which is where we see consequences, and then there is reaching a level of physical or psychological dependency. Let's break down each. When we look at recreational use, this is the majority of users. These are people who choose to use drugs who have little to no harmful ramifications from using them. That might be a person who drinks a glass of red wine at night, or goes out and has a beer at dinner, or smokes a joint but really sees no physical or psychological consequences from that use. When that becomes abuse is when we then start to see those consequences. This is where someone might get in a car accident, or in trouble with their employer, or have relationship issues. We start to see drugs become a consequence. Maybe it causes them psychic distress because they're spending too much time using the drug. Then we move into dependency. And dependency, which most people think of as kind of like the true addicted state, is where we have somebody who needs to use more and more to get the same feeling they got when they initially started using. That is called tolerance, when you need to use more and more just to feel normal, or just to get the effect that you felt when you started. The other part of this is that people who typically have a tolerance are going to go through withdrawal when they quit using. And this can be very risky. In the case of alcohol or benzodiazepines, this can be a death risk. For others, it's just an incredibly unpleasant experience, like the withdrawal from opiates. But that's when we have, at a dependency level, we are probably looking at MAT, medicated assisted treatment, as options for this, or abstinence. But typically, most people do not go back to moderation management. When they're in abuse, we have the options of going to moderation management and trying to kind of put rules around recreational use or abstinence. But we want to assess quite clearly, is this person in a use stage, an abuse stage, or a dependency stage? And then make sure our suggestions and our treatment modalities that we offer them are in line with what works best for where they're at on the spectrum of addiction.